All right, which one is this? This is number 5, isn't it? I think this is number 5. All right, well, hello, adventurers, and welcome to Adventures in Podcasting number 5 with Jason, a.k.a. Bracker19. 19. I got it right this time. I know in the post I said 15, which is ironic because 19 is like my favorite number, which is amazing. So, welcome. Let's get it clinky here.
Clinky.
So, to start things off, we are drinking yellow Gatorade, the best flavor of Gatorade. And Bracker asked for a sweet cigar, so he's going to have the nuanced triple roast, which is exactly what Tim had on our last podcast. So here you go. I know you're a cigar smoker, so you know how to handle all that.
Thanks, sir.
And I'm having my favorite Camacho Corojo in Robusto. So, I figured let's start off with your call sign. I know I normally ask people how they started off in Airsoft, but since your call sign has my favorite number in it, I'm curious what Bracker19 stands for.
Well, my old friend Danny Carilli, who owns a pawn shop in St. Petersburg, gave me the name. My last name is Bracker.
Okay.
So he just, word played with my last name, obviously, and said instead of Bracker, or instead of Bracker19, like the radio call, he turned it into Bracker19.
Interesting.
So once down the road, I started playing Airsoft. I kind of assumed that as my call sign. Okay. So basically, that's how it came from. That's where it came from. Exactly.
Interesting. So when we're saying Bracker19 over the radio, you say Bracker19.
Yeah, Bracker19.
Bracker.
Yeah.
Maybe we could call you Bracker too.
Sure.
That could be a fun name.
It's funny because the wrong end.
Yeah.
It's funny because
you could smoke either end, really.
A lot of people call me different things because they just don't remember or whatever it is. So
right.
I don't really care.
There's so many people.
They get it close enough. Breaker and Bracker, and they just say all different kinds of things. Who knows?
At least they don't call you Beaker.
Yeah.
Like that guy from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, exactly. The most recent one was Brattier. So I was like, okay, I'll take that. So I've always said when you spell it, it's brat and chur.
Okay.
I'm a brat and then chur. So
gotcha. That's easy enough. So one of the things that one of the gifts that were brought over here was one of these PusH squad patches, which is definitely the topic that I want to get into next. Is that you're now the de facto leader of PusH?
Yes.
Is that the right word to use, de facto?
Sure.
I like the sound of it.
Sure. Yeah.
It sounds more military style,
Sure. Yes. Ruger Rise, typically CO. He just has a really busy year coming up. And I'm typically XO at PusH, so I, stepped up because he asked me to. And for this year, I'll just be, taking command for PusH, just trying to oversee and just trying to fill his gap for a little while just to give him a break in his life. So
perfect. That's what teammates do.
This became a lot more than what we expected and more than we even anticipated or even planned on. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot more than what people think. There a lot of people just show up on game day and it's that's about it for them. Where we're much more involved in that, and we're trying to be more involved because we're trying to change the whole outlook on the Florida Airsoft community. Right. Because it seems like we have a bad name. I don't really see it.
That's what I've been hearing. I've never seen it myself. I think that we have the exact same kind of people that everybody else has across the country.
I agree. Now, that is, somewhat of a biased opinion because I've only played at Sirius Viking in Georgia, which I would not consider, enough play time outside of the state to really get an opinion on what other states are like to play in.
I agree. I played one day at GCA in South Carolina. I couldn't see any difference, although I was in a helicopter. That was the main difference. But I agree with you that we do have, here in Florida, we seem to have a bad reputation. Florida in general, throughout the U.S., has a weird reputation, I think because of the whole Florida man thing.
Sure.
But Pops, Pops from Wasteland Ops. He has the exact same philosophy as you guys. I would love to see PusH Squad and Pops. I just started thinking like you call them PPs and stuff. But I'd love to see you guys kind of link up and get that going. So I mean, what are your plans moving forward to kind of push this positive agenda?
It's just exactly that. It's just to push positivity. It's to try and get people to understand that this sport is a sport that will mature you. It'll show you your immaturities. And that's one thing that when I got into it, I matured like steps and steps and steps.
Right. It's beautiful to watch that too.
It is, and the best thing is to look back at yourself and like remember when you were there, like the first day you were there, and then now you look at what you become.
Right.
Like I said, it is a maturity. It will mature you, or it will make you immature. It's like kind of what I've seen. It either brings it out in you, and you say okay, you correct that, or you don't. And that's what I see with it. And that's kind of the problem, is that there is a lot of younger crowd in this sport, and a lot of people are just caught up in a lot of problems in life, and I get it. And they're kids, they're supposed to be like that. That's a part of growing up. So if we can start to show them, because when I go out on the field, I notice that I'll have kids running behind me all of a sudden.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, so like they're looking at me and being like, they're seeing, like a figure there. So let's show them, don't go out there and yell and scream and, and cuss and stuff like that on the field. And, try to hold back. And I'm guilty of it,
Right.
I'm not saying I'm not. It's a very aggressive sport, and this sport it's such a high level of sport. If you play it that way, that it's hard to not, yell and scream at times when things happen.
We've all been guilty of that.
Sure.
I had to cut out my last, the Jamie Riley video. I had to cut myself out because I was not being positive. I should have left in the thing for Ruger. But by the way, you can't see him, but Ruger's off camera here.
Waka waka.
There we go. But I got Airsoft mad because I got shot, and I didn't realize that there were other people like right behind me because we were pushing up. I thought homeboy was just lighting me up, and I got out like, I'm dead.
Right.
And I started screaming like, you're ruining my video. That's why I should have left in there just to show everybody like, yeah, I'm Mr. Positivity, but I get pissed off too. Especially when you're just getting stung over and over again. Like, stop it. It's like walking by a bee's nest or a wasp's nest. You're obviously going to get angry, but
for sure.
But, we all get airsoft mad. We all get frustrated in this sport because, some of us, we're there to have fun. And, yeah, you can have those other people that are cheating or whatever, making it horrible. But like you were saying about just staying positive and whatnot, we have to be, especially for the younger group,
right.
We have to show them that we as adults can handle our emotions,
right.
So that the children can see that, hey, we've got something to look forward to. We're not going to be psychotic the rest of our lives. Because I did see a study that said that a teenage boy has the same kind of mental craziness as a serial killer or something like that, or a psychopath. Wow. It's just all the hormones that are fluctuating and whatnot. So, I mean, they just have to have that proper environment so that they don't turn into something bad.
Exactly.
But I know that Ruger sometimes makes YouTube videos. Are you guys going to start making videos about positivity to kind of get that out there? Or are you going to be more of a grassroots person-to-person campaign to try to get that done?
Like I said, I think that it's more of just a mindset on the field that we're trying to portray.
Right.
And then, like I said, like with the last couple of events, or last one major event that we had, there was a lot of negativity along with that event, and I was there, and to be honest, I'd never felt any of that, really saw any of that. I mean, every event, there's always those, certain groups of people. That's with everything, no matter where you go or what you're doing. So,
unfortunately, yeah.
That I never factor in, But overall, like, from the way people talked, I was just like, I think part of the talking and almost like the like the chat platforms or that they're talking on is like almost creating this kind of this negativity for it. So maybe we have to start focusing on that, and going more making videos that shows, like, look, like, this is what we're doing, or maybe even have events to where, like we go out and play and we try to have like more of a fun time with it,
That's my plan with this whole Batman versus Darth Vader game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just everybody wins.
Perfect.
Like, I want to make a game to where it's like there's really no way for anybody to win unless you just play and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can get objectives and stuff like that, but who cares? We're shooting each other with plastic guns out here,
right?
But I've seen what you talk about on like Discord and stuff like that. There's a lot of negativity. That's where I had that whole interaction with that kid that's kind of ruined his life. But I'm curious your opinion on it because teenagers, like, in person, they're normally fine with us.
Sure.
But if you get them online where they could have some sort of anonymity,
right,
they seem to turn into monsters.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just the psychology side of that is where they lose that person-to-person interaction. You kind of see it sometimes in people's driving behaviors too. As soon as they get behind a car, they become more aggressive towards the car because I think that their brain doesn't see the car as there's a human in there. They know there's a human in there,
right,
but you're not like face to face with it. So I think that the immediate threat is a little bit different.
Right. So
I think that's kind of where that's coming from.
Right. I have to agree with you on that. I think it's a lack of person to person contact, and I think that's what some people have issues with, like with the dye masks, because I'm one of those people, like I'm like autistic or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't really care. I'm doing fine. Sure. But I have to see people's faces for me to really understand their feelings and stuff, because I've learned that if someone's typing you an emoji and it's like a sad face or something, it could be them meaning the complete opposite thing. It's so weird. But I've noticed that some people have problems with the speed softers, and I know that there's a whole weird thing about the differences in styles and whatnot. Sure. But I think it's the dye mask that it looks like a wasp, but it looks aggressive. That people are like, ugh.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but that probably has something to do with it too. Yeah. And I did think about how some of the people will hide behind that. Like when they're wearing that they'll do things that they probably wouldn't do in person again, because all they have to do is run. Right. And it's really hard, and especially if they just leave the field. Once they take all that off and you get back in the parking lot, it's kind of hard to tell unless you remember exactly what they were wearing. Yeah. And like, I'm not out there trying to do that, like, no, I'm out there trying to have fun. So I'm not, Right. And I think that's an extension from the whole 2020, everybody's wearing a mask. People were wearing masks and running in and robbing people. And sure. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's, it's all a game basically. So. That's basically the reason why CIA started taking everybody's photo. Oh, really? Yeah, because that kid went there and hurt somebody. Oh. And then tried to remain anonymous. And I guess it's been a minute since I've been there. I didn't know they just started that. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I don't think they do it for everybody, but they've definitely done it for me. Wow. And I've seen them do it for other people. And I kind of thought that was going to be the future, but it seems like those people have kind of died off since that. I haven't seen too many of those kind of toxic negatives. More like what you were talking about with people just getting frustrated. So I'm curious, what are your tools to avoid being frustrated on the field? Because obviously you're a player just like me, just like everybody else. But I personally have never seen you in any state other than this or smiling. Like I don't even think Ruger has probably seen you angry or anything. But I mean, it takes a lot for me to really get mad. Part of it was that I've worked on myself a lot over the past few years on just self-reflecting every day. So part of what that is that every time I got mad, or every time I still even get mad, I ask myself, what is your logical reasoning for being mad? Okay. And it's, when you really start breaking it down, it's very hard to answer yourself honestly. That's a great way. I've never heard most of the time you can't come up with an answer. If you do it logically to yourself, and you're only going to lie to yourself with this question. So that's where I started to realize that when other people lie that they're really only lying to themselves.
Yeah,
those lies may affect other people, but essentially they're lying to themselves.
exactly.
So, but on the field, because I with working with that in myself on the field, I do the same thing. I self-reflect, and I when I get done playing the game for the day, I look back and say, well, how did I handle this situation? And throughout doing that over and over, when I first started playing, I played every weekend. I mean, 4 weekends when Black Tiger started Sundays, I played 6 times a month. So I was going all the time.
That's a lot.
All the time. So it was a lot of time to really look at myself and say, hey, here's your immaturities. Stop,
That's very wise. That's probably the, here, I don't know if your cigar went out, but I think that's, okay, perfect. But I think that's literally what wisdom is
Sure.
being able to look at your immaturities, your inadequacies,
Sure.
being able to accept them, and then being able to change them.
Sure. And it's a constant road, it never ends, because, you can't just fix things that you've been doing for years, it's not an instant thing. Some things are, but not everything.
I know. I mean, it's like any other bad habit that you have that you're trying to get rid of. I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to quit smoking or something like that.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But
it took years.
Yeah.
Years of trying.
Same here, but now I'm just cigars.
Yeah, cigar every now and then.
Yeah, cigars and my cannabis.
Yep. Sure.
Because both of them are kind of good for you, I guess. I don't know. I don't think cigars are necessarily good for you, but my doctor said one a week.
Anything in moderation is my motto.
Yeah.
That's what I live by. So
I have to agree with you on that. Alcohol and most of those other things, like, they could be very, very destructive.
Sure.
But they could also be constructive. I've had some of the best conversations of my life after just being tipsy after having like a 6-pack of beer with somebody.
For sure.
And I've also seen people that end up accidentally murdering people after having a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah.
It's just, it's that dichotomy.
And not even know they did it.
Exactly. They find out when they're at the police station and they're being charged and they're about to go. I'm obsessed with my new thing with YouTube is police interrogation videos. I don't know if you've ever watched those, but
I've watched a couple of them where they say like, like genius criminal or whatever, where he's trying to like outsmart him or whatever.
Yeah.
Those were a couple funny ones.
Speaking of which, we don't have our perfect lighting going. My bad.
The lightsabers.
Yeah, there we go. I was like, why does it feel a little dull in here? There we go.
And the YouTube videos and stuff, the only one I did make was the one that I was told to make from all the peers when I got overshot, and I handled it correctly. So I made a video on what not to do. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I remember that video, the BTA, the one at BTA.
Just don't be that guy is all I ask.
Or I think that was one of the first videos I ever had to comment on that. I was like, Ruger, you handled that with aplomb. I think that was the exact word that I put in there, because that's literally the exact word that works for that, because he took it in stride. Of course, he shot him back, but when you're in battle, when you're in a fight or something like that, it's mutual combat at that point, in my opinion. I'm not a ref. I'm not a field owner. I'm just a player that does not like to see people being negative like that.
I mean, I guess, reffing is going to be whatever they're going to ask you to do for your job. But like, if I saw 2 guys and they're like literally just standing there shooting at each other,
just watch.
As long as they're not fighting each other, like, what's the problem? I guess it might lead to that, so you might probably have to stop it. But,
if it's mutual, I'll just let them do it, because odds are they're like those teenage kids that we were talking about that, they're kind of psychopathic. I mean, I don't know how many kids I watch, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but when I was a kid, we did some really stupid stuff.
Sure.
And I know that Airsoft was a thing, but we didn't play Airsoft. I was in Maryland. So, I mean, it was kind of hoity-toity. Lacrosse was our sport,
Yep.
But we would go to McDonald's, and we would get a whole bunch of the straws, unwrap them, and then basically take a handful of them each, and then we would stand there with our shirts off, and we would, like, stab at each other and try to take chunks out of each other's skin. That's how psychopathic we were.
Super sharp.
Yeah, they're super sharp. And do not do this at home, unless you're an adult or something. But if you're a kid, do not do that. I still have some scars from that, and it's like, you know, I understand why these kids freak out. I understand why adults freak out, but we do need to we need to stop ourselves when we start having straw fights with each other. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the typical questions I ask everybody is, you know, how did you get into airsoft? What was your first game? Where was it? What was your out, you know?
So I was a real stealer, I guess, if you want to call it that, forever, and I kind of, you know, hated on the whole airsoft-ing.
Okay.
I remember the first, I maybe bought like one or two little airsoft, you know, Springer pistols at the flea market or whatever, when I was younger. But you know, they would break and you just throw them away, and that was about the gist of it. But then Rylan Ruger mentioned about airsofting again. He said one of his buddies was into it, and he said it's come a long ways, and I said, yeah, you know, I'm you know. It's for kids. Yeah, you know, that was my mentality of it. So I said, all right,
not the first one.
Yeah, and you know, and even today I try to tell my steel friends to try to come to this, and they won't. They think the same way. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said, let's just go check it out. So we went to Black Tiger before Danny owned it. Right before he owned it.
Paul owned it.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it was like, I think Paul owned it, and then like maybe 2 months later, he retired or whatever and turned it over to Danny.
Okay.
So I think we'd went that next time, and Rylan couldn't play because he was injured.
He's always injured. He's injured right now, by the way. You can't see it off. Yeah, here, show him your sling. There you go. Like he, do you own that sling? I mean, you must own a sling because you're
like 4 of them.
Okay.
This is the one that I actually needed from the last previous surgery, but he was actually mentioning right now.
Yeah.
I had a memory pop up yesterday, 5 years ago, of me wearing that stupid thing.
Jeez.
Yep. On 3.
My memory that popped up yesterday was from like 16 years ago when I was in college. 16 years ago.
Wow.
Ouch. I'll show you the pictures afterwards. Like I have hair.
You're like a pioneer of Facebook then, huh?
Oh yeah, I was. I got my Facebook account the first couple months that Facebook was a thing.
Wow.
Because it was only
to the public, or when it was to the college.
Just
only?
to college.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was like it was supposed to be a dating thing,
right?
And I was trying to date, but then I was like, you know, this online dating sucks. So
this college chick that I was dating showed me it and signed me up. So it was like right before it was public. Like
really.
I want to say 2004, but I don't really remember.
It was before 2004.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So.
Yeah, well, no, I think it was either, I think it was 2004, maybe 2005. Mm-hmm. It came out, you know, you could Google it, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm old. And, you know, speaking of old, I interrupted you. I'm trying to fix this whole thing of getting off on tangents and staying here. I probably have ADHD in addition to being autistic or whatever. I got all the maybe Asperger's too. Yeah. Asthma. I've got that too. Oh, snap.
We got it all.
The Brugger is destroying my set. Yeah, it's all right, man.
So, yeah, I went and played my first day. Actually, I purchased an airsoft gun before I went and played, and literally went nuts with, you know, testing it and figuring out how it works.
What gun?
It was a SEMA Banff. Like the shorter model one, okay. Which if you look on there, it's the only SEMA, at least on e-bike, that says that it's like a performance model. Okay. And to be honest with you, from going on to where I am now, it definitely was. It definitely was barely tuned a little bit by SEMA or whatever their package was, because it shot way better than typical SEMAs did. Cool. Which wasn't by much, but I mean, there was a performance increase.
That's a good first gun to get.
For sure. And I went to the field and I played and never expected it to be so much fun. I knew that I was going to love it, but I didn't know it was going to be that much fun. And that's why I said, literally from that day for the next year, I played every weekend.
Perfect.
So
it's addictive.
It was very addictive. The whole experience, everything was fun. I met all kinds of cool people the first day I went. I mean, everyone was real welcoming. It was a great experience. So that goes back to where we want to make sure that every time we go to the field that we conduct ourselves in that manner, so that if it's that other person's first time, they get that same feeling, or else the sport's not going to grow.
Yep.
It's going to shrink.
I agree. I have the same mentality. Mm-hmm. That's why every time I go there, I try to be all smiles, take pictures, share the experience, because you never know when I'm going around doing the tactical close-ups. I don't know if that's that person's first time, and now they have a memory,
right.
And they've got a funny memory of them, making a funny face or something.
So, I asked myself.
No, you're good, man.
So
I have to vacuum after every episode because I ash on the floor too.
So yeah, that's how I got into it, man. It was just it's just history from there. I went nuts on buying guns or airsoft pews or whatever you want to say.
I'm gonna not censor this.
Okay, well, I like to speak how I want to speak airsoft guns, because that's what they are.
I prefer that you speak the way you want to speak on the podcast. This is about getting to know the real you.
Cool.
And
right.
YouTube be damned, you're not going to censor me. I'm going to censor myself. I'm not making money off this.
Sure. But
Yet,
exactly. Why not, right?
Yeah, will eventually. I guarantee you that.
I don't blame you.
So is there like one of those dream games that you have played or want to play?
Not really in particular, right, that I could think of. I mean, I definitely want to try to obviously get out to like do a Milsim West game eventually.
Okay.
I mean, I guess some of the ultimate goals would be to try to get over in Europe, because some of those fields just look awesome.
I know. I'm so jealous of the British.
It looks so cool.
Like, there's a YouTuber that I love over there called Airsoft Cam Man. Mm-hmm. He's basically the opposite of Kicking Mustang.
Right.
He's like the polar opposite of that dude. There is a photo of Airsoft Cam Man in his full ghillie suit having like British tea out there. It was like, oh, I love you so much, bro. I love you so. I can't wait to come play with them. Mm-hmm. But you were talking about Japan earlier off camera. We were talking about Japan and stuff like that. Do you know of any like fields out there that you really want to play?
I don't know the names of them. But Japan's play style is what I want to go play there for. They're a one and done. So it's like if you guys run with a squad and you get shot, there's no reviving and coming back. That's it.
Just like real life.
Okay. So like it's a whole lot different there. They're very, very strict. You're not allowed to even talk. You're not allowed to say another word to anybody except for your own players. You're not allowed to talk to the other team even at certain fields.
Interesting.
So they're really, really strict on how they conduct the play over there. So, I mean, I don't know. This is what I hear from Mayday's son.
Okay.
So Mayday's son's a Japanese YouTuber who's I guess a big icon over there.
I'll check him out.
And it's a guy.
A guy.
Yep. And he like really favors Grand Thumb. So he I guess parodies him all the time. So
I love that. Does he do it in Japanese?
No, he doesn't. It's really good. Like sometimes I think that he's dubbing the voice at times, and he's like just mouthing the part. He might. He might
dub it himself.
He might. It's so good at times. I'm like, is that really Grand Thumb or not? But anyway, so
I'll have to watch this.
From watching him and him explaining how they play over there, that's kind of more realism to where I want to try that style. That's
what we were playing at Outdoor Extreme Hudson. Mm-hmm. We were playing one and dones because there was like 10 of us or something like that. It was nobody knows about that field yet, but I'm coming out of my little break for the Player Appreciation Day and Buy-Sell Trade Day, March 26th, I think. But that's what we were doing there because we had such few players, and I really enjoyed it because we had Joey, the kid across the street. Mm-hmm. We were playing at one of the fields called Dunes, where it's just a bunch of piled up dirt. He was the last man standing. Him and this other kid. All of us adults were dead, and he was taking on like 4 or 5 adults from the other team, killing them. until one of the adults like literally like ran up, jumped over the dune, and like shot him right in the head. And you see him coming back after getting shot. And he was like, I was taking out all those adults until he came over and just jumped up and shot me.
Yeah.
But dang it, I'm getting off on a tangent again.
It's all good.
I can't help it, dude.
Yeah, but no, that there's definitely. I think I like to travel. I surf, so I always plan my travels based on surfing.
Okay.
It's hard for me to justify spending money to go somewhere if there's not waves.
I got it.
So like if people ask me to go to like the middle of a country somewhere, I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'll, you know, it's there, cool. I might do it, but most likely not.
Just like Colorado.
Well, I was born in Colorado.
Really?
I was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I moved here when I was about 5. So, you know, I kind of...
So you're Florida.
I'm basically Florida.
Yeah.
You know, this is really what I know.
Yeah.
I've been back to Colorado a bunch of times. So, I mean, I've been all over Colorado, too. So, I know the state. You know, I haven't experienced like a full year there as far as like seasons go, but I've been there throughout every part of the season, too.
Okay.
So. But yeah, so like I said, I'll only travel if my travel will allow me to surf. And now I hurt my foot a few years ago, and I can still surf. My foot's just not back there yet. I actually hurt it and got to where I could walk on it again, like right when COVID hit. So right when I should have been going and getting some rehab, I couldn't.
God,
I literally couldn't. So no one would help me. No one would give me rehab. You know, it was like, that's when it was like crazy, like literally like the month, you know, like the doctor said, okay, start walking on it and go get rehab.
Yeah.
And that's where I was at. And then like a month later, you know, COVID hit.
That's terrible.
So
that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
COVID was the worst for so many people.
Sure.
You know,
it really changed a lot. It really did.
It did. It's going to leave a lasting mark on all of us too, just like 9/11.
For sure.
Yeah, everybody's gonna remember where they were when they first heard about COVID.
Better believe that.
I was in the hospital with my dad, and the nurses were like, "Yeah, well, you can't come and visit him anymore." It's like
I actually had found out about it. I think a little bit prior to it being like really widespread known. A gentleman that I was hanging around with owned a bunch of companies, owned a bunch of factories in Wuhan. And he was
Wuhan?
In Wuhan, and he was there. And he came back and said, I had to shut down like 50,000 employees worth of factories.
Damn.
He's like, I don't know what's going on. They won't tell me anything, blah, blah, blah. So that was actually the first I had heard about it.
Damn.
And I want to say that was, I can't really remember exactly, but I want to say it was pre-Christmas of that prior year.
Of 2019?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty far ahead.
Yeah.
Of
because I think everyone knew about it like just after 2020 or 2019. I get
I
lost.
think it was December of 2020 or something, because my dad passed away in May on Memorial Day, and that was, you know, that was fairly close to the beginning of it. You know, we didn't have too much time. I just remember being like, because my dad was immunocompromised, so I had to wear all the scrub gear and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then they were like, yeah, well, you can't come.
And that was pre-COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and luckily he got better for a little while, so he was able to come home. The nurses had me, because they knew what was happening. They were just like, if you want to, you can grab a box of gloves, box of gowns, box of whatever, but just take one of whatever, so that when your dad comes home, you can take care of him. Because they knew what was going on. They knew that everything was going to be shutting down, that this was all insane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could see it on their faces, because I've unfortunately had to deal with nurses a lot in the medical setting.
So do you think they sent him home because of that?
No, they sent him home because he was ready to go home.
Oh, okay.
And it just kind of worked out nicely, but the unfortunate thing is when he went back to the hospital, that was the last time. And that was during COVID, and that's when I saw the nurses were all panicking all the time. So they went from being like kind of the normal people to the, you know, calling me at 3 a.m. telling me my dad's going to die and I need to be there.
Right.
And it's like, okay, can't we like, Can't we find a nice middle ground here?
Sure.
The bedside manner needs to be better.
Right.
But that definitely changed everything. And I wasn't in Airsoft then, so I'm curious if did you see that affect Airsoft at all? I've heard stories that...
To be honest, no. We played straight through it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like, people just kept the distance through it.
Not even.
Yeah.
No one even cared, to be honest. At the field that I was going to, nobody cared.
Yeah, I get it.
No one even was like standing away from the rest of the people. No one cared.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of conspiracy theories that go around with COVID and whatnot.
There's a lot.
I know we're saying it a lot, and apparently YouTube doesn't like the word COVID or vaccines or vax. COVID, vaccine, vax. Don't tell me what to do, jerks. But yeah, I know that it affected a whole lot of stuff, and luckily Airsoft seems to have benefited from that, because
I think so.
Me being one person, I was stuck inside with YouTube. So that's how I found the Swamp Sniper. That's how I found Airsoft in general. And then I went to, I think I got my first pistol at Stampede Airsoft. And, walked into a store just because I haven't been in a store in a long time. And, I walk in there without my mask, and I see everybody in there. They don't have their mask on either. So like, oh, sweet. All right. We can have a normal thing here.
Sure.
So, what I think is that a lot of people were just kind of stuck inside for so long. They were like, I just need to get out. And I think a lot of people kind of ran out of money doing the whole prepper thing for the end of the world.
Probably. Yeah.
They're like, I need to have 20,000 rounds of 5.56 right now.
And a room full of toilet paper.
In a room full of toilet. I don't understand the whole toilet paper thing.
I didn't either.
I got one super pack, and I actually still have part of that super pack because I started using different toilet paper.
Yeah,
I got bougie with my butthole. Butthole bougie.
Yeah.
But so what are your other? I know that for a living you're a marine mechanic.
Yeah,
something very useful here in Florida.
Yeah, I just started getting into that. I'm about to launch the business, getting that rolling. I've been working on a couple of boats here and there. I went with my friend for a little bit, and he passed away just recently.
I'm sorry.
So I was basically learning the little bit of extra that I needed to learn, the specifics about the outboards themselves.
Right.
It's a car engine at the end of the day. It's just packaged differently and executed a little bit differently too. But essentially, it's just a car engine. So I've worked on cars, I've worked on airplanes, I've worked on jet cars. I crew chiefed a jet funny car and went all around the United States running that.
That's cool.
It was a lot of fun, but very stressful too, to make sure that every nut and bolt and fastener and safety wire and everything on the car is right, because I'm putting this guy in this thing and he's going 300 mile an hour in it.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like you're kind of akin to someone who works on a space shuttle.
Yeah.
Like, if you mess up, I mean,
it's big.
Yeah. Like, it's not on you, but it's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's going to come blame me for it, but, like,
you're not going to sleep that night.
No.
Your conscience.
Yeah. It's on your conscience.
So,
you're never going to forget that.
And that's exactly what happened. Over doing that for about a year and a half, like, it's too much. It's too much. It takes a toll on you, especially being on the road too. So, like, that was probably another part of it. But,
yeah. Do you have family and stuff?
I do. I have an older sister. She is a PA in New York.
Oh, okay.
And
public attorney?
No, a physician's assistant.
Oh, a physician's assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but that's it. My mom and my stepdad live in St. Pete with me and my grandmother.
Okay. I
have my uncle and one cousin, and then a couple other cousins live in Gainesville. But that's about it. My family's fairly small overall. I do have other distant family, like in Virginia and a little bit in Maryland, but that's it.
Really? That's where I'm from, is Virginia and Maryland.
Awesome.
I've actually been thinking about going back up there recently just to go hiking or something, because I've been planning a hiking backpacking trip here in Florida. It's like, a lot of it's kind of underwater a lot of the time.
Have you ever been through Kentucky?
I have, accidentally. I was driving up there and just, I was driving at night, and I guess I made a wrong turn, and I wound up in Kentucky, and we just stayed there.
Well, I drove through it one time with the jet car, and man, I've always wanted to go back. And I never said if I wanted to hike. That place looked beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful, especially in the fall.
Yeah,
with all the leaves changing colors, you have the reds and the oranges and stuff. It's just So plus, like if you like apple juice and stuff like that, that is the area to get it. There's only one good apple juice I've been able to find in Florida, and it's the expensive glass bottle stuff that came from Virginia, of course. So, they just I've been spoiled, and I mean we've got a lot of lovely delicacies here in Florida, that you don't really get anywhere else.
Yeah. For sure.
But it's just the changes in the elevation and stuff up there. It's just so different than here. That's why, people up north come down here and we go up there. It's just change of scenery,
For sure.
Could you ever be a snowbird, do you think?
No, the ocean's just too much of my life. I couldn't be too far from it. Between surfing and fishing. I just couldn't leave it, man. It's the thing is, when I was a real like a toddler, I guess, like I hated the water, like I feared it.
Really?
Yeah. So like I guess my grandfather and everybody just like slowly just splash water on me, and I would just cry for hours. And I guess like I don't know if it was torture or not, but like you can't when I actually get in the water, like I'm the last one to get out. Yeah. Like everyone's on the boat, like okay, let's go. I'm like let's go. Wait a little bit longer. Yeah. So, but
that's funny how that happens, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I couldn't really leave the water. I'd have to be near the ocean somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Virginia and Maryland, they've got pretty good shorelines.
There's some good fishing up there. And they got some beach too, or some surf there too. So, I mean, Maryland's the crabbing for me.
I know. It's so fun. Have you ever gone crabbing before?
We did it there in, what was it?
Was it Chesapeake Bay?
No, in Maryland, we were right there. What's that? Rehoboth Beach?
Yeah, Rehoboth Beach.
Yeah, Rehoboth Beach.
That's a fun place. I used to go there too. We would use the chicken necks on a string, and you'd pull them up, and they're still just like.
Yeah. We got them all one day. Like we all sat out there all day. We were on like a channel, so like some kind of inlet somewhere there. And we got them all. We had them like in this floating pen. I guess that's what they use up there to store them in. And we were going to cook them. Well, my father had some friend guy there from overseas, and he couldn't stand the point that we were going to kill him. So he snuck out there the night and
he just released all the crabs. The crabs are going to get eaten by something. I mean, come on! It's the circle of life.
That was great.
Come on! I'd be so angry at that guy. I'd be like, okay, you know what? From now on, every time I'm in front of you, I'm never eating a vegetable. I'm only going to be eating meat.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn into Joe Rogan right in front of you,
bro.
He
figured it out like the next night because we go to the restaurant. It's some big restaurant there. And like they literally just cover the table in paper. And you say, okay, 4 dozen. And they just come and on the table. And you literally have this mound of crabs. And he's sitting there like, you can't even see them, you know what I mean? You gotta like look around the crabs to even see the guy. So it's like,
I love it. They give you the mallets.
Yeah.
I miss
that. Go to town. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I do too. I really do.
Did you ever have a Natty Botini when you were in there?
No.
It was literally the worst drink I have ever had in my life. So it's Natty Light. Do you know what Natty Light is?
Yeah.
So Natty Light is like natural light, but it's the Maryland version of it. Or Natty Bow, sorry. Natty. It's a light beer.
Yeah,
it's basically like natural light.
Yeah.
And they put that in a glass, and then they put Old Bay all along the rim of it. Old Bay seasoning, and it is not good.
Huh.
Yeah, I need to fix that light. It is so fickle. Ruger literally just picked up his phone and screwed up our whole thing. It's plugged in. I need to get I'm going to get a dedicated battery pack for both of these so that I can have this whole portable thing.
Yep.
That way I can do this at Milsim's and stuff.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I do miss it up there sometimes, but I can't live up there again.
Yeah.
It's just too cold in the wintertime.
Right.
Yeah, I keep seeing videos of people up north that like live on a hill or something. They get in their car and then their car just starts sliding downhill. and they can't do anything about it.
You just watch it.
Yeah. You're just like, I hope that my my airbags work, and I hope that there's no people out in the street from slipping. You know, you just have no control.
So yeah, but now I would consider maybe traveling more places that might be inland if it provides like an airsoft opportunity.
Okay.
So getting back to that part. But
Yeah, so yeah, we got off a tangent again. It always happens. But yeah, I do the same thing. Like when I'm planning a work trip or something, if it's far away, I would like to stop by a field or a store or something like that. Just kind of do it like that. I don't travel throughout the country anymore, but I may do that again. And that's going to be the main factor for that, is if I could stay the weekend and play airsoft in like Wisconsin,
right?
You know, or some weird place like Chicago. Chicago, you go there, they got real guns.
Yeah.
So do you have a name for your business yet?
I think I'm going to go with Gold Marine.
Gold Marine.
Okay. So golden standard of Marine service.
Yeah.
You know.
My uncle said, because he has an electrical company, he said that if you have the letter A or the number 1 in your business name, it normally pops up first.
Sure. Yeah. That was I don't, the newer technology stuff, I don't stay like completely up with everything, but I know that from phone books. Okay, so that's like an old school thing.
He's older,
which I'm sure it falls over to the newer technology too. So
I think a lot of it's going to be word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's going to be, I would rather it be that way too, because you don't have just random people.
I know.
You know, which, I mean, business is business. You got to take the good with the bad, and you know, with business, you can't please everybody,
right?
You know, and that's a tough thing to learn when you start to go into business. So,
yeah, I could see that being frustrating. I mean, luckily my clients, you know, so long as I meet my due dates, and it's all good. You know, it's very rare when I get, like, I have a client right now that I exceeded their due date by like a week or something, and now they want me to explain to them what, you know, the soils section of the report means. Not a big deal at all, but it's like, I can see in your line of business how it could be way more annoying when you have somebody that has a problem that is self-inflicted or something like that. You fix it, and then they're just like, they're not happy.
Yeah, with any, like, I've heard from all my other friends that are in businesses that do, like, you know, like a skilled trade style of business, and they say, like, the biggest one is sense use. So, and that is, they'll call you and say, well, since you did this, now this isn't working, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a difficult one to deal with, because it's like, well, they're basically saying that it's your fault. Yeah. You know, and it's like, okay, well, you have to start juggling in business. Like, it's like, well, do I just fix it? Or do I, like, say, hey, like, here's the deal, you know, like, it is not my fault. You know, a lot of times, like, through my past mechanic working, that's where you'll get to where you'll fix this one thing, and that then shows the other problems that are there. So that's when they really get mad, because you're like, okay, I'm going to fix this. And if you don't tell them up front that, hey, it might show other problems. Right. That's where you have to learn and learn to say what's right about the situation. If you need to say, okay, if this is going to come up in the future, then I need to make them aware of that. Yeah. You know, that's just, so it's curbing those things, you know. I'm sure it's the same thing with technically with airsoft guns to a certain extent. Yeah. Airsoft guns are much less complicated than an engine. Sure. You know, but they're finicky though. Yeah. You know, just to bring it back to airsoft in some way, we got accused of not talking enough airsoft by Ruger here last time. Well, if we go down that road, then, so since I was a kid, I took apart every fishing reel I've ever owned. So as soon as I got a hold of an airsoft gun, I was like, oh, here we go. You know, like, I get to learn this new fishing reel, basically. Nothing wrong with that. So nothing wrong with that at all. I'm actually looking to get just a standard M4 or something like that and start messing around with it. Yep. There's a guy at Outdoor Extreme Hudson with Mill Spec Tactical Outfitters. He had 3D printed, like, pretty much an entire airsoft gun, or like the stock to it or something, foregrip. I don't know what it was,
But he's like, yeah, I printed it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's awesome that we're getting to that point.
Yeah.
You know, if we could just get it to a point where we just drop an engine in there and hook it up to power.
Yeah. No, it's getting really crazy. I think I don't know if it was the same guy, but I saw somebody who printed a complete airsoft gun, and you know, typically when you see like 3D prints, you can tell it's a 3D print, but this one was like, I don't know what he did to it. I don't know if he like took like something hot and went over it after it was printed.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like it looked like it was injection molded.
Yeah.
It did not look printed.
There has to be some sort of technique, or you can put like some sort of epoxy over the whole thing.
Maybe
you dip it. Maybe I don't know.
I've done a little bit of 3D printing, but just like basic setups and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess you can't really 3D print anything for an engine yet.
No,
not yet.
They do a little bit, but yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, melt the plastic.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
You might be able to get away with a couple intake pieces, but that'd be about it.
Right.
You know, if you were playing around with some flow dynamics or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, as far as that, so yeah, as soon as I get in the airsoft, man, I just went crazy at trying to learn, you know, everything about them and teching on them, and the gearboxes themselves, it's really not that complicated. You know, it's pretty easy.
I haven't opened one up yet.
Yeah, it's not really that bad.
I have a feeling about that. I just, you know, with YouTube and stuff like that, like most of my time is spent with editing. Yeah, like if I'm sitting down with airsoft, I'm either editing or I'm trying to, you know, zero in some red dots and checking everything else and making sure it's all right.
Yeah.
So what else are you into besides airsoft and marine mechanic stuff?
Well, to be honest, I mean, it's besides fishing, which my motor's down right now. You know, how funny, the mechanic's motor's down.
That's always the way it is.
Yeah, it's at least it's a one part fix, but it's an expensive part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an older motor, so I'm just kind of juggling if it's worth spending the money on it or not. But
I get it.
Really, just I try not to get too much more busy than I am. I have a 95-year-old grandmother that I live with and I take care of.
Oh, congrats. Well, that's good.
So I purposely try not to take on any more.
Family is very important, especially when you're taking care of your elders.
Sure.
I was just talking to my uncle about that because he's got heart problems.
Mm-hmm.
So like, look, if anything happens, you know, you need someone to take care of you. I can't sacrifice this room because this is where I do my podcast and stuff in, but yeah, I can give him the master bedroom and I'll just put up a cot in the living room. You know, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's the kind of stuff you have to do for your family.
For sure.
You know, I did that for my dad and both my grandparents, and I find it to be very noble. So you know, congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
That's good for you.
Yeah, you know, don't get me wrong. She's still mobile and she's got all of her buttons there and all of her whistles there, and
that's good.
She's still feisty and she takes care of me too. You know, it's a two-way road, so it's a good thing, and I don't mind. She sacrificed a lot for me over the years, so you know, there's no reason to not pay it back when she needs it. So
right,
you know, she did it when I needed it, and I didn't know I needed it. So you know, there's no point in to not repay that.
Yeah, it's part of the whole circle of life.
For sure.
You know, that's one of the reasons why. You know, kind of selfishly why I want to have a kid, so that when I'm old and invalid, I can have someone there to at least talk to. Because I'm hoping by the time that we're all old and invalid, we're going to have those floaty chairs from that one movie.
Yeah.
Like, it'll just take us everywhere. It'll let it, you know, expel our waste and everything like that. It'll be pretty perfect. So do you have a favorite spot to surf here in Florida that the other surfers might want to steal from you? Or do you call them howlies? Is that what it's called?
No. Howley, I think a howley is what the Hawaiians call us.
Right, the non-Hawaiian.
Yeah, you're a howley, yeah.
Okay, the non-locals.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, my home breaks really like, you know, Sunset Beach, Upham, and the Gulf side, so that's where I learned how to surf.
Okay.
It's a very surprise to other people when you go surf other places because you can surf very, very terrible conditions, surf-wise, to where like people in California would never even go out on that day.
Really?
They wouldn't even consider that rideable.
Is it because they have too many options?
They have better waves.
Okay.
You know, like more consistent and better waves.
So you just have to take what you can get here.
Pretty much, yeah.
I understand there's not much surfing here on the West Coast. I have a friend on the East Coast that likes to surf.
Sure.
That's her whole thing. She's been. It's too bad you guys don't live over there.
Oh, yeah.
She's been looking for a guy that wants to surf.
Oh, yeah.
She wants a surf buddy. And it's like,
Hey, I used to go over there every weekend. That was my airsoft.
Yeah.
You know, I was over there every weekend.
She's in Melbourne.
Surfing. Well, I went typically, Melbourne, satellite area, Melbourne, yeah.
She was over here for college, and she kept telling me about that. So I ended up going with her. I didn't surf at all. I ended up getting wasted with her dad. Nice. You ever had a kamikaze shot?
Yeah. No.
I've heard of it. I think you'll like it. It's a Ruger type drink where it's kind of fruity and sweet, but it packs a punch. And so he brought out a tray of those of like 20. And between him and I, we had 20 kamikaze shots. And then his daughter, my friend, came over and she was like, "Hey, you want to go surfing?" I was like, "I can't get up." Your dad got me drunk, bro. I'll watch. I'll watch you surf. Yeah, it's like if you want to, if you end up falling over or something, that's funny.
The East Coast is good. It changes. So like you'll get one year where this spot's like your spot, and then a storm will come through or something, and it doesn't work for a couple years, you know. And
it just changes.
Yeah, so I don't really have one favorite there per se, but you know, it's all good. Like Hightower, I think is probably my most frequented surfing spot.
Okay.
And that's just a little public beach access thing there. It's just south of Patcher's Air Force Base.
Okay. And you go with Ruger to Costa Rica and surf there?
Yeah. I used to go every year before that other thing, the C word hit again there.
Stupid.
COVID. Yeah, COVID. I go to the Southern Caribbean and Costa Rica, which there's some pretty good surf there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of it's tough to get to too, so there's even locals that don't know some of the waves that are literally right in their backyard.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're not like one of the really good surfers, you don't know about the spots. It's very difficult to get to them. The paddle out alone is extreme.
So it's just getting out there on the water, or are you talking about hiking through trails?
So you got to hike through like mud, like hills.
That's gotta be hard with a surfboard.
It is. Like you almost damage your surfboard every time.
And they don't make like inflatable surfboards that you can just pack.
They do, but not. I don't know if you really want to go surf it on reef break like that. You know.
Yeah, because what if you hit like an actual reef? It'd probably pop that thing.
Yeah. Just rip it right open. And like I said, now the paddle out is get in this little keyhole and then paddle out this channel. Like literally this channel, and you're in the reef, and you're going up and down, and at times you're like in the hole, you know. So like then the water fills back up and brings you back up out of the reef. So like you have to paddle this probably a quarter mile that way, and then a half mile back up the beach.
Damn. Just
to get to the wave that it's surfable.
And I know that paddling a surfboard is not easy. No, it's all upper body.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It's not like you can use your legs to.
Not really.
To kick. You can't really use it like the like those little things that kids use in the pools, the kicking thing.
Yeah, like a knee board or boogie board,
yeah,
or a kick board.
See, I used to boogie board back before like I had spinal problems and I got old. If I boogie board and I fell wrong now, I wouldn't be able to walk for a week.
Yeah.
It's just a sucky thing about getting old. But is there like any dream surf/airsoft destination for you?
I mean, so like I said, like somewhere in Europe, there was definitely, I don't know what the name of that field was as far as the airsoft one goes. It's a YouTuber called Total Recall Airsoft. They played at this one building that was all these different levels, and each level was a different light. So they had like similar to this, but it would be like that's the green level, and that's the blue level, and that's the purple level, and they had all these ways that you could sneak from level to level, like kind of like through the walls, and that looked like the most awesomest place ever. So whatever the name of that place is, that's the one place that comes to mind immediately.
Yeah, if we find the name of the place, we'll put it right here.
Yeah.
But if not, I mean, definitely look that up. Yeah. I want to find that place.
Surfing wise, Bali.
Bali? Okay.
Yeah, probably Bali.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like perfect waves every day.
Man.
I mean, it's just it's amazing there.
Mm.
It really is like world-class waves every single day. No matter where you're at, you can just go find the best wave of the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And there's beautiful women there. I mean, it's A+. It's really crowded now because it's just, I think a lot of Australians go there for some reason. I don't know why.
Probably for surfing.
There's some a model girl that surfs there in Bali.
That's cool.
And she's from Australia, but that's where her career is or whatever. So
yeah, sometimes foreigners in different places do a lot better than their hometowns. I mean, look at Arnold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, and again, like now I start to go, okay, my surfing trip, like, is there airsoft? You know, like, so now it all starts to kind of gets a little bit more driven in a different direction. But
yeah, I get it. It's like when I was in college doing the outdoor stuff, which I'm getting back into. Mm-hmm. It's like whenever we were going someplace, like I need to be able to hike, I need to be able to kayak, I need to be able to camp.
Right.
If I could do all three of those things, and preferably also like rock climb, hell yeah. You know, and it just makes things easier and simpler to streamline it, but it also extends the length of time that you have to be there so that you can actually enjoy everything.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I skateboard too, so you know, like I really am more of like a surf skater. You know, I try to keep surfing at the same time. So, you know, whatever parks, there's a good park like downtown St. Pete that I skate a lot.
There's a skate park here in Spring Hill.
Oh, really?
I just found it. They've got some basketball hoops there, so I'm going to go there and I'm going to...
Is that the one where there's like a big giant skateboard, like as like a roof?
I don't know, but probably.
Okay.
I mean, it's not too far. It's like 10 miles away from here.
Is there a highway like within view of it? Because there's one in somewhere in the Central Florida area that I've seen that I drive through.
I don't know, because I've always seen it on Google. Yeah. I just Googled parks near me. You know, over the weekend when it was raining, I had to do something to plan for next weekend to get out of the house.
There you go.
Yeah. But that's one that popped up. I was like, I can't really camp there. It's a... Although that'd be funny. You have a tent there in the middle of the skate park and have kids like going just doing ollies over it.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be badass.
Yeah, other than that, it's you know, there's a couple, you know, Australia would be a great place to go surf. South Africa.
They don't have airsoft there though, from what I hear.
No, I don't think so at all.
I think it got banned.
Yeah. So again,
some of the hottest women in the world are from Australia too. I mean, holy crap.
You know, that's I want to go there. That's one place that I would just go. You know, I mean, obviously there's plenty of surf, so like it has a lot more to draw, you know, for me. But
yeah, and even if you're not able to play airsoft, I mean, there's tons of stuff to do there. I mean, just seeing the Sydney Opera House, yeah, just looking at that, you know, beautiful piece of construction.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a friend that's in Italy right now, so airsoft's really big in Italy. So
I can see that.
I plan on maybe going and doing that. There's not a lot of surf there, but there is some. So
at least there's good food.
You know, yeah.
I mean, that would be a big draw to go there for sure. Oh, man, I'd absolutely have a video of being out on the airsoft field shooting people and then turning around and eating lasagna.
That'd be awesome.
Or just having one of those glasses of red wine and just bitty bitty cheese. Learn how to say good shot or good call, brother, in Italian.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I always like going to places that like with a local, you know, like your experience is just way better.
Especially your first time there. You know, maybe the second time, you know, go there and just kind of explore a little bit since you know the main spots. You can kind of stay away from them and see the other places. Right. I try to do that as much as possible. I've got a buddy that's over in, he switches between California and Colorado because he's an adventure guide. So he either does whitewater rafting trips or he's leading hiking trips or ski trips or something like that. So I'm hoping pretty soon, Greg, I'm going to come out west and hang out with you for a bit, hopefully. Hopefully. He and I used to, he was doing that. We did adventure stuff in college. That was actually my first patch right here. This is the University of South Florida Department of Outdoor Recreation. So we were just basically hippies taking college students out on trips and trying to make sure that they don't die. which some of them, I swear to God, they were trying to kill themselves.
That's what I was gonna say. I bet someone would try.
There's some of these things you tell them like 4 or 5 times. It's like, don't take food into your tent. Don't take food into your tent. And then you hear someone in the middle of the night like, what is that? What is that? And there are a whole bunch of raccoons trying to get in there and eat his Snickers bar or something. It's like,
Awesome.
bro, like, I'm telling you exactly what not to do, and you're doing exactly what I'm telling you not to do. Yeah, he thought it was a joke or something. Like, that's why we have bear bags, dude. You have to hang that stuff in a tree, and if they're hanging on, you're gonna hear a in the middle of the night. You're like, that's some dumb raccoon that just fell off the thing. He's perfectly fine, but he's probably sitting there like, man, now I can't get those tasty treats. But I'm planning a camping trip for next weekend. I need to get out and start doing something. I've just been playing Airsoft way too much every weekend, and it's time for just a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be back at the Outdoor Extreme Hudson Player Appreciation Day.
Okay.
Which I think is March 26th.
Just after the event.
Yeah, it's the third Saturday in March.
Okay.
So whatever that is. But I'll be back fresh and ready to go. Hopefully you guys are there. It'll be a free day. It's like 20 minutes away from here.
We'll see. I mean, we got Mini Milsim there this weekend, right? So, yeah, we'll see if I can make that one.
Yeah, I was going to go. I think the Mini Milsim is going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a striker event. They're always fun.
Yeah, the Milsims are always great.
Yeah, I just need a little break.
Yeah. I did the same thing, man, after really Castlebeck. I said, all right, like, there's so many events coming up. I think I'm just going to kind of stick to the events.
Yeah, I did the same thing to a certain extent. That event just killed all of us.
Yeah. Nah.
It was just it was so hot, dude. There was just no airflow at all. But that's how the place was set up, because it's a Cold War era facility, and they wanted to build the building so that in case of a chemical attack, none of those chemicals would be able to get inside, or at least it would be deterred a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Joe from Grey Wolf told me about that. He's ex-military and a person who's going to be on the podcast here. You're a very fascinating person. Convinced me to make my first chili mac ever. The only chili mac I've ever had is from a one of those mountain house camping. Yeah, the dehydrated food. Much better when you make it fresh, by the way. Night and day difference there.
There's still flavor in it.
Yeah, there's still flavor in it. Plus, like, you're not out in the woods, so you have your hot sauce, and you have your hot sauce array like I have, where I can kind of pick and choose which ones and mix them,
Right.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to go over here?
No, like I said, as far as the positivity thing, it's more us just setting that example,
right,
and leading with that example. It's not that we're really trying to tell everybody, hey, let's be nice. You know what I mean? So
you're not being Barney.
I think that's like our biggest goal right now is to push forward with that and to keep that positivity on the field. So that the sport continues to grow. I mean, you're a huge positive influence to this.
Well, thank you.
Whether you know it or not, like, we met you when you brought those, and we were at Holy Cow that day when you brought those there.
Really?
And that's where we got them from. So, like, we were following you, literally, we went there. We did not even play. We went there to get that patch from you.
I remember that. I do remember. God, that was so long ago now. That was like almost 2 years.
You were going to play, but you had hurt your back or something?
Yeah, it was kind of the beginnings of my back issues because of sitting at my desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, which I don't do anymore. I get up, I stretch, I walk around. I know many of you out there may not know, but Ruger has a workout kind of text message thing that we're on through Facebook Messenger. And it's been very beneficial because, once I joined that, I was like, I'm done with having back problems and stuff like that. So I started going to the gym. And now when he's texting out like, all right, guys, it's chest and back day.
Right.
I'm able to. It's today?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this, I'm going to be going to the gym.
Good.
But it's been nice that when I see that, I can text like, already done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good, bro.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But yeah, it was great having you there 2 years ago. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
And it does mean a lot to hear you say I'm a positive influence, because I try.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
it's definitely there. You see it. I know it when I'm on the field. You know, the last time we were both at Black Tiger last weekend or whatever. You know, like I was over on the other side of the field, and I heard you say, "Good call, bro." You know, like that alone, people know your voice. They know it's you, and that's positivity.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
like that. And then they know they might be in a video.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. You know.
You're like, good shot, brother.
Right. Mm-hmm. But that's positive. People want that. They want to be in the video. So it's only doing good for the community for sure.
Right.
For sure.
And I mean, that's why sometimes when I'm playing and I see that people aren't having so much fun, that's when the red vest comes out. Because I know once I start sticking my phone in people's faces and getting tactical close-ups, they're going to start smiling again and realizing that, yeah, dude, this is just silly.
Right.
You know, there's nothing about this that we need to take seriously, except for, you know, safety. That's literally the only thing we need to take seriously there. Because that day, you know, we had a lot of incidents on the field. But one incident that scared me was one of the new people was just walking off the field and mask up, BBs are flying, everybody's yelling at him, put your mask on, put your mask on. And you just see one of the refs just beelining towards him, yelling, mask on, mask on, mask on. Like he's about to tackle the guy. But that's literally the only time we need to be serious.
Yeah, exactly. I had one instance where a guy had come up and he caught me because I wasn't even looking that way, so he shot me from here. But then the other guy shot him, and he kind of started to get mad. And then somebody else started to shoot at that guy that shot him, and he hits the ground and just starts barrel rolling and barrel rolling and barrel rolling for like 9 barrel rolls to get behind some cover. How he didn't get hit, I don't know, but it was so funny that
everybody had to laugh.
It changed his attitude. He was happy now. Like, so those little things that happen on the field, like, so now I try to remember that, you know, like when I start to see if someone's getting upset or something, just do something dumb. You know, like go do a cartwheel, you know, and like, or try to like dive behind a bush or something, you know. Pull a Holiday, exactly. You know, Holiday's another positive person. Like I
want him on the podcast.
Yeah, so get him on here, dude. That'll be a great one too.
Sure. I keep his patch on there. I have different patches for. Yeah, it's up here. I put it back up here.
Yeah, one's right. Fog's right there.
I have different patches that I like to put on for different fields. And whenever I'm at BTA, it's the Stolas Industries and the Mini Dom patch.
Yep.
And which, by the way, go to minidom.store, get yourself some cool merch for some airsofters.
Oh, the last one I say that we need to, if they haven't met each other yet, we need to get Malachi to meet. What's his name? The gentleman you had on here. Coy. Yes.
See, Coy, he's one of those guys that once people start to meet him and stuff like that, I think that he's going to start playing on Saturdays. Because I think that he's going to be influenced to go to his job and be like, look, I really need to have Saturdays off. Because, I mean, if he and Holiday got together and Malachi and a bunch of those other kind of silly guys that dress up, amazing video. I wouldn't even need to be in it. I would just sit there and film the whole thing.
Right. And again, those are like the positive. Those are other positive influences, and they're just a different positive influence.
They're like the role models. Almost.
Right. Yeah, and that's the best thing. That's the one thing that Airsoft taught me the most is that this is the only sport that I've ever found that can be played multiple different ways.
Yeah.
At the same time. By anybody. So
as long as you're mobile and you can pull a trigger.
But that's where like the whole where we were talking about the whole speed softer, you know, vibe against the milsimmer or the regular player, like that whole vibe thing. that's where I learned that that's really an immaturity.
It is.
Let people play how they want to play. Like, I used to kind of get mad at that at the speed softers because I'm like, look, I'm trying to play the game this way.
I'm trying to play it my way.
Right, this way, and that's why I realized he's trying to play it his way.
Exactly.
So, like, if that's allowed to be on the field, then you have to accept that, right? So you got to learn to let go of those. Another one that's hard to get over is being overshot.
It is. That's when I got Airsoft mad the last time. I just started yelling and like, you're ruining my video.
Right.
But it's true, because it's just, like, it doesn't hurt you. You're not dying. But it's the whole, it feels like an injustice. Yeah. But also, like, sometimes they can't tell. Even if you're waving a red flag, sometimes they're like, 200 feet away from you.
For sure.
And all they can see is just like they just see movement.
Or they don't even see it,
Or they're shooting at the person behind you and they're just straight up missing them.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, there's other rules too. Like, if you kind of have an idea, you got your friendlies behind you, and you just got shot, they're most likely going to try to shoot that guy too, so hit the deck.
I know.
There's things that you can do to not get hit again.
Exactly. So. That's where I screwed up, because I didn't look behind me at first. I was looking straight in, which normally you would want to turn around so that you don't get shot in the face.
Right.
But, I didn't realize that there was people behind me on the side of me. I mean, we had just dropped a mortar shell on them, and we decided to push up right when that happened. It was like right towards the end of the video, hence the cut.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the only times I get angry, other than when I'm shooting a person and they're not calling it.
Yep.
Like, that can get frustrating, but if I don't have my scope cam on and stuff like that, I'm not gonna accuse anybody of anything anyways, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I like to review it later so that I can say, like, am I actually hitting him or am I dropping short?
Right.
Because that you could be dropping literally 6 inches short of a person.
That's the one frustrating thing about with non-hit callers. For whatever reason, sometimes they don't feel it. You miss whatever it is.
Right.
But I'm talking about when you actually do hit them. It's very. To me, it's very annoying, because I'm trying to hone the skill.
Right.
Okay, and then if I do something and you say I didn't hit you, I'm now going to start changing that a little bit, and it's actually changing it the wrong way.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, that's what's frustrating to me about that.
Same.
But again, you just got to say, okay, well, just discard that, and don't take that into your calculations, and try to just move forward,
Right.
And just say, okay, well, I've even had times where we were sending BBs back and forth, and it seemed like I hit him a couple times. I'm just like, you know what? Like, I just leave.
Same.
I just leave that interaction, because it's like, well, I'm pretty sure I hit him a couple times. He's not going to call it, or I'm not hitting him, so I need to move anyways, because I'm not doing any good here.
Right.
So let's move.
Right. Either way, you're kind of wasting your time in that same position.
Exactly.
And it's that old credo, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
You got it.
And it is insane for you to sit there at a game that you're paying for. You're literally paying for every time you pull that trigger, because you're sending BBs out there. And you're spending your time, you're spending your money, and you're just getting frustrated. Move on. Pick someone else. Odds are there's going to be, if that person is actually being dishonorable, there's going to be another honorable person for you to fake murder.
Right.
Exactly.
And again, that's the stuff that you learn, and this is why I say it's a constant maturing and learning about yourself in this sport. So, and just setting that example, that's my most important thing.
I think that's very noble, and I think that's exactly what most of us need to do, especially the ones that we're older. We're the age that we can have kids. These kids are going to end up looking up to us, especially those of us that don't have kids, and we're not viewed as being parents. We're kind of viewed as being like somewhat cool bachelor guys. Right. I remember that from when I was a kid, where I saw these dudes. I was like, oh, wait a minute, he doesn't have a wife? He can do whatever he wants. That's freaking awesome. And I would like for them to see us doing what we want. And what we want is positive. Right. What we want is something that they are going to want as well. I don't want them to want to smoke cigars. Right. I don't want them to want to drink alcohol. I want them to do it responsibly if they're going to do it, just like we are. You know, just like playing the game of Airsoft. You know, I don't want them to be running around with their Airsoft guns pretending like they're real guns, trying to rob people, doing stupid crap like that. I want them to keep it on the field where it's fun, where they can actually shoot people and enjoy it instead of going to jail.
Yeah.
You know,
It's real important.
it is. And I do think that just if we focus on positivity with our sport, like you're saying, it is going to grow. And we're gonna, if we focus on that here in Florida, we're going to see our reputation change. Because I had recently an interaction with someone I've never met before. I had 3 people I'd never met before on Facebook that they weren't even commenting on me. They were commenting on a patch that someone was wearing. Someone had a Confederate flag patch. I don't agree with wearing it. I don't disagree with wearing it. It's not me. It's not my place to judge.
Right.
But I had 3 people from the West Coast basically saying that, you know, of course this is what Florida thinks. Of course this happened in Florida because Florida is racist. Of course this happened in Florida because Florida sucks. Meanwhile, these guys are from California, and I can say everything the same about California, except we're just open and honest with a lot of our flaws. But I see that you're not the only person. Ruger's not the only. I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people trying to improve this sport.
For sure.
I'm hoping that we can find a way to actually do that. And I think that the way that we're approaching it now, just trying to set a good example, just trying to stay out of stupid beef, out of the politics of everything, and to just enjoy ourselves. I think that's got to be the only way to do this.
Well, I think it's important, like, to get the people who, I'm not as outgoing as, say, like, you know, Holiday and other people. You know, once you get me talking, then I'll talk. But I'm not as like I said, as outgoing as they are. But I feel that those people are going to be the best people to kind of help to keep this going. I think getting them involved is an important part of trying to change that whole persona.
I agree wholeheartedly. And one of the things that I'm planning to kind of help the Airsoft community is starting something I'm calling the Airsoft Scholarship Fund. There's at least 2 people that I know in our Airsoft community that can't play right now because they just can't afford it. One of them's got a kid, or 2. I don't know how many kids he has. Another one is a kid. And they're both incredibly positive influences on our community. We have to have them there. So I'm going to start this Airsoft Scholarship Fund so that I'll donate, other people could donate, but it's simply going to go to having them on our fields. We're just going to pay for them to get out on the field, play with us.
I like it.
Because we need more of those positive people out there. And it honestly hurts me to see that they have to sit there at home and, you know, live vicariously through our videos.
Right. Not do anything, essentially.
Yeah. Instead of being out there on the field doing what they're great at.
Those videos helped me in a dark spot with this last time. My arm being messed up last time.
I hear you, man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with everything. It's hard. You know, eventually I'm going to end up finding an editor for this, just because, you know, editing an hour, 2 hours, hour-long video, that takes about 6 or 8 hours for me.
I bet.
And I don't even have the extra cameras that I want to have yet.
Yeah, you got one feed,
Yeah, just one feed, and I'm just like cropping.
I couldn't imagine if you had even 2 cameras, you know.
I know. I tried that with the GoPros, but, like, you know, that was not happening with the Airsoft gods. They did not like me having GoPros not on my head. They were like, nope. Every time there was something wrong that happened. SD card error. Like, I've never had an SD card error.
Well, I like that other idea you had to, when you said maybe like getting together a bus to take everybody to like one of these big events, like something at Ballahack, like a Rev or something like that.
That's a big plan for me, because I remember doing stuff like that when I was in high school. Like, we would go on a trip from Virginia to where's that, Williamsburg. It was in Virginia, you know, but we'd go from Northern Virginia to Central Virginia or something. And I could see us doing that here, where we could say, look, you know, we've got a bunch of people here in Central Florida. B3, you know, they just shut down, but they're going to have another field soon. I think it'd be awesome to take a bunch of us, get like a busload of like 30-some people, and we just bus up there, we play, everybody stays at a hotel or something, and then we all bus back.
That'd be awesome.
I could see that being in our future.
And that aspect of that, that's how we could get people that that really couldn't afford to go to that event, you know, because it's like everyone just cover the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then fill the bus up.
Yeah, and I mean, even charter buses, I mean, they could get expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But we could, I'm sure that there's somebody who has like a school bus or something and they have a CDL license and they've got, you know, whatever else,
Well,
you know.
I mean, if it's structured correctly, you could probably almost get it donated.
I think that's a possibility, especially because I would like to do this in association with VFA. I want to do more with Veterans for Airsoft.
There you go.
And these other communities that are doing positive things for our community, you know. Veterans for Airsoft, I mean, they invited me to go to this this Airsoft something or other up in Jacksonville that's on a aircraft carrier.
Okay.
It's not a game.
I saw that.
Yeah, they invited me up there to do press, and I accepted, of course. And that's something where I think that would be a great kind of first thing to see, just if people would be able to carpool. You know, maybe not get a bus, but see if we could get people that have like, yeah, I got 2 extra seats in my car.
Sure.
Let's see who wants to go. If we could get enough people to do that, we can actually have a pretty good turnout just for that. And I mean, it's going to be like an airsoft flea market and stuff, but it's on an aircraft carrier where we're going to get guided tours. You know, seeing some cool, you know, World War II history, man.
For sure. Oh, I wouldn't turn that down.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll be there with a bunch of veterans too. I already asked Taylor to go. He's a veteran. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of right up your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Waterfowl too because he's a Navy vet. So he was actually, I think he was on a boat.
I think Lane from Lucifer's as well.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. The more the merrier. I mean, all of Lucifer's Wolves are either first responders or they're veterans or they're active military in some cases. But yeah, I think our community has a lot of different avenues to improve. For sure. And I think we've identified a whole lot of them. It's just putting them in action. That's the hard thing. The hard thing is staying positive out there in the midst of stress.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's when we got to get silly.
Yeah.
You know, that's when the going gets tough. I get silly. I always have. I can't take it. That's why I couldn't be in the military. I would have been kicked out immediately. I would have been just like Bill Murray in Stripes. I literally would have been. I would have had people call me Bill Murray. Just call me Bill Murray. Don't call me Drew. Right. That doesn't matter. I'm here to have fun, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one part of it, man. It's about keeping everybody focused, you know, on the positivity, and I think that if we can get, like I said, enough of the people together, I think that's the only way to really achieve it. But on the one hand of this, I think a lot of the negativity is just talk.
I agree.
Because I don't see all of what they're saying.
There's also manufactured negativity, which is something I've seen from one of our friends in Arizona. Sorry, I've been battling a chest cold since the last weekend. I still have a lot of mucus, but I'm getting better. But there is a incident kind of like we had at BTA, where people were going around shooting people up. Right. In between games, where they're talking to refs, stuff like that. But this guy got a third-person view of it when he was confronted by, when the overshooters were confronted by the staff and the owner. One of the kids took his GoPro and actually put it on a table to film the owner yelling at the guy that was cheating. And the GoPro, the guy that made the video, went over there, picked up the GoPro, and even explained that, yeah, what they do is they'll put this down here just so they can catch the drama, so they can put it on their YouTube channel to get views. So he went over there, he picked up the camera, went over to the kid, and he was like, here, I think you dropped this. He's like, oh yeah, sorry. You know? Like, these kids are such cowards when they're dealing with this, that they won't even take credit for saying, like, oh yeah, I put that down. Like, he has it on camera, the kid walking over there, like, putting it, and then, like, adjusting it a little bit. Like, it wasn't an accident. You know, like, we know what you were doing. You know what you were doing. You're not slick.
Right.
Yeah, clickbait. That's exactly all it is. And it turned out the other way, because the guy that caught the third person aspect of all this, I subscribed to him. I even talked to him a little bit on there. I was like, dude, like, we dealt with the same thing here in Florida, and that kid is facing 10 years in prison for what he did. And he's been banned from every field in Florida. And I have his airsoft gear is gone. Like, his airsoft gear is with other people now. Like, he is not an airsofter anymore after that.
Wow.
He was never an airsofter to begin with, technically.
Right, yeah.
But it feels like it's manufactured negativity for views.
For sure.
And it's leaving a blemish on our sport, because a video like that will get millions of views. Videos that I make, I'm happy if I get 500 views.
There's one other aspect of that too, is that the fields it seems like some of the fields are hesitant to discipline or really correct bad behavior on the field,
because they don't want to be vilified on the internet. They don't want to have their business destroyed.
Right.
That's why that's why all of us, I think, are trying to do this positive campaign, because we love this sport.
Police it.
Yeah, and we have to police it. That's the sad thing about it, is that, yes, we have to police our own, because we have to police ourselves, but we also have to look out for each other.
Yeah.
Your teammates, like a PusH squad. I know that, if you saw Ruger getting shot and, he wasn't calling it because he wasn't feeling it, obviously, because, he's an honorable player. But even say Ruger had a stroke or something like that, and then his personality changed and he turned into a douchebag. I'm pretty sure you would call him out on it.
For sure.
Even though you're friends with him, And that's how we all need to be, because sometimes we make mistakes. I get called out for that sometimes too, because especially at Gulf Coast Airsoft, there was this kid that was shooting me in my dump pouch while I was like mag dumping 5 or 6 dudes. So I couldn't, heat of it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't hear it. And he came up after me afterwards, like at the end of the game. He was like, "Hey man, just let you know, I shot you 5 times." So I was like, "Oh, dang it. All right. Well, I didn't feel that because I felt all of them shooting me." It gets to be kind of hard, but if we police each other positively, I think that's the way to do it.
For sure.
Because that's why I don't make cheater videos. I feel like, to a certain extent, that's how some people approach this whole policing thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to out this person.
Even if they're wrong and somebody tells me I'm out, I'm out.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had guys, sneak from behind and shoot me in the back.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it. But I did not feel it, because I had a backpack on. I didn't feel nothing.
Right.
I mean, nothing.
That's
and I'm
the
like,
hazard of our sport.
And I turn around, I'm like, "Did you shoot me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm calling it." Because you have the drop on me. I'm pretty sure you did. But I was like, "Dang, I did not feel that at all."
Exactly. This is why we need to be able to communicate with each other positively on the field, instead of turning around and just and instead of turning, what you could have done in a negative situation was turn around and say, "Okay, I didn't feel it. I didn't hear it. I'm not shot."
Right.
And then you start engaging with that guy, and then you make a quasi enemy.
Right. Yeah.
Or that person feels like, "Hey, I got the drop on you. I shot you. I earned my kill."
Right.
That's where the negativity can come from. That's why, my saying, and I know everybody's heard it, it's when in doubt, call yourself out.
Yep.
That's the easiest thing to do.
Yep.
At worst, you're walking a half mile back to spawn. You'll link up with somebody else who's walking back, and you'll have a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had sticks fall on me, and I've called it.
Dude, same here. I've had an acorn. Oh, God. Speaking of acorns dropping, did you see that video?
That's so terrible.
Oh, my God. Talk about lights on Florida. Come on!
Another barrel roll incident.
His was the worst barrel roll ever, though. That poor woman cop. I know that she's getting crap for shooting into that car, too, but that's what you do. You can't confront. You think your partner's being shot, but he just got assaulted by an acorn.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, if you haven't seen that video, essentially what happens is the cop hears that this guy that he just arrested had a silenced pistol or something. After that same guy searched him, was walking back to the car, heard an acorn drop on the hood, starts barrel rolling. He's like, I've been shot! And then mag dumps his own cruiser. And then gets his partner to do the same. It's just... At the end of the video, if you see the way the cops are looking at him, they're just like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Even the lady that she asked him, she's like, "Where is he at?" He's like, "In the vehicle." So she's just like,
"What? Pop, pop."
I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, she's doing her due diligence. I think she was perfectly fine, but homeboy, he definitely left the force.
The dude that's handcuffed in the car, oh man,
he was a douchebag too. He's a terrible person. He's about to get a lot of money.
I didn't see any of him at all, or whoever it was in the vehicle at all. I only saw the firing going on. So I didn't know the first time I watched the video. I didn't know someone was in the vehicle.
Yeah, he's like your typical your typical like 20-something-year-old dude, you know. But like he has a history of domestic abuse and stuff like that, so he's not a good guy. But you know, it just all in all, just one of those situations. Because I watched the video before I knew that it was an acorn drop. I just saw it on Donut's raw police footage, and then I went back and I listened to it over like 4 or 5 times. And like I thought that his body cam had some, like the gunshot was so close that it didn't register. But then I started thinking, like, I see all these others when like a cop's gun is right here and he's shooting and like you can hear everything. Terrible situation. Yeah. Which is why you do not defund the police. You fund the hell out of them so they're trained. Although this guy was apparently in Iraq, so I don't know how much more training you can have other than being...
The barrel roll guy was in Iraq?
He was in Iraq.
PST.
Yeah. I don't know what position he was. I don't know if he saw any action, but he's retired military, and he was in Iraq. He served there.
I don't really know much, but those actions didn't look like trained military actions to me.
If that's what we're doing in Iraq, I understand why this war is taking so long.
I'm not military at all.
Me neither. I support him, except for that guy.
Yeah, it's not even it's not a support or not support him. What I do support him is that he had the courage to take the job.
Yep.
Okay. And then found out that job's not for him.
Yeah, the police job was definitely not for him.
It's not.
Yeah, he found out too late, though.
Well, it could have been worse.
It really could have. The guy is lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
I mean,
did he get hit at all, the dude in the vehicle?
I heard that he didn't get hit at all, which is another thing. It's like, how?
Wow.
How?
I don't know.
Like, you dumped 2 magazines in there. Like, I don't know if, like, the car is armored or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know, man.
I know the glass isn't, because the glass was busted.
Oh, yeah, the glass definitely busted. I mean, the homeboy was definitely laying down in the back seat.
Wow.
He got lucky.
Yeah. Well, at least it didn't turn out any worse. So.
I know. Fingers crossed, you know, the whole domestic thing is over. And the poor girl gets her car back. Homeboy's going to have plenty of money to buy cars now.
Yeah. Wow.
Jeez. But is there anything else you wanted to go over?
Yeah, I think that's about it, man. I mean, just keep working on yourselves and moving forward. You know, like I say that we're past the worst times. I hope, you know, as far as everything goes in our general lives. So let's just try to remember who we are and move forward. You know, like don't lose who we are over all this. You know. Upset of our life, basically, because that's really what it is. It's an upset. It's like the time change, you know. Yeah. When the time change comes, everyone's screwed up for a week to a month, depending on you.
I know. It's getting better now with better technology. You know, back in the day, it used to cause a whole lot of havoc.
Right.
Because, I mean, you have to, like, literally turn a dial instead of looking at your phone and seeing it automatically updated. But
yeah, but just like you have to reset your mind now, because it's like you're like, oh, it's supposed to be dark now, and so you know, it's that's what I said. It's just I think an inconvenience that we're going through. So we'll come out of it. I think we are. Things just everyone stay positive. You know, go airsofting. You know, go do the things you love. Whatever that is. You know, work on yourself. Self-reflect every day. That's another real important thing. But other than that, man, I love Airsoft. Thanks for having me. This was awesome. Yeah, it was great to sit down with you and get to know you better. You're one of the few people that you're soft-spoken. Yeah. So I don't think many people have heard you talk very long. Probably not. This is probably the longest conversation anybody's ever seen you have. Yeah. And I love it. It was there was no low moments. It was a great conversation. Good. And you're a great person. It was great to get to know you, buddy. Come on, same to you. Let's get our clinky here. Yeah, buddy. So that was Adventures in Podcasting number 5 with Jason, a.k.a. Bracker19, leader of PusH Squad. Be sure to check him out on the field. Sit him down, have a good conversation with him. He will talk to you. All right? All right, man. Waka. It was good to talk to you, dude. Yes, sir. Finally get to stand up after a while. Yeah, took a minute. All right, now it's pee-pee time.